Let's move on to our next conversation now. After this very wonderful talk with our speakers, and Purti, I hand it over to you now again.
Thank you, Sapna. So this is our final and the last panel discussion of this conclave, which is on emerging stars generating upside from new asset classes. So this conversation will be chaired by Fancy George, who is the CEO, Thomas Associates Workplace Design. So with over 3 decades of experience with large-scale multinational corporate office campuses to sustainable projects, Fancy George has always had a deep appreciation for workplaces from a people perspective. Her basic philosophy of an immersive approach starts with collaboration first, communication next, and finally, co-creating a bespoke solution. Let me introduce our distinguished speakers. For this panel, I would like to welcome Ms. Hina Kamra, who is the Managing Director from Neo Wealth Management. Hina, with over 27 years of rich experience in the banking and financial services sector across multiple assets, her varied experience spans across multiple products and involves treasury, money markets, foreign exchange derivatives, real estate financing, etc. So she has been in the real estate financing for over 12 years now. Next in the list, we have Niharika Verma, who is a Senior Vice President, Operations, Pune, ROM, and Goa from Knight Frank, India. Niharika has been in a leadership role for last 23 years. In her career of more than 3 decades, she has accomplished many milestones in corporate, hospitality, healthcare, manufacturing, and retail industry. In the field of general affairs, facility management, client experience, vendor management, in addition to food experience as well. So third in the list, we have Shivani Karia, who is a co-founder and CMO from Blox. Shivani co-founded Blox in 2019 with a decade of experience in marketing and building D2C brands across industries like fintech, luxury, real estate. She's passionate about building the first direct-to-consumer home buying brand in India that is fully tech-enabled and is supported by a multi-actor product ecosystem. Next in the list, we have Ms. Shruti Agrawal, who is the Assistant Vice President from Tata Realty and Infrastructure Limited. Shruti is one of the few marketeers in the niche of commercial real estate segment. She has been leveraging digital marketing to expand the reach and better storytelling for two sets of audience, which is B2B and B2C. Her expertise lies in developing short and long-term strategic roadmaps for the brand, supporting corporate financial strategies. And the last one, we have Tithi Tewari, who is a co-founder and the managing director from Trezi. After spending nearly 2 decades in the building industry as business and creative design head, Tithi observed several gaps in the traditional way of approaching a design project. In 2015, she co-founded Trezi, an immersive platform that transforms digital collaborations for architects, designers, building product manufacturers, and other stakeholders in the AEC industry. So now I request the moderator to kindly take over the proceedings.
Thank you so much, Purti. I'm hoping everyone is on because I don't see their cameras on. Are they there? Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be, I think, quite an exciting session because we've got like women from different aspects of the industry, the real estate industry. So it's not just about design, architecture, real estate. It's also about prop tech. It's about finance in real estate. So just to set the context today, and I mean, just to dive a little bit more deeper into what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to talk about the emerging stars generating upside from new asset classes. We are going to be discussing new and emerging segments, formats, models of operations in real estate, building and construction. But I think more importantly, we're also going to be exploring the role of women leaders in a technologically advanced landscape of the real estate building and construction sectors. So I want to try and keep this a little bit more conversational, a little bit more, in that sense, rather than getting too technical, because at the end of the day, I think it's got to be understandable for a lot of the masses, really. So, really speaking, I'm really excited to hear all of these women's insights. I've had like a one-on-one conversation with a lot of them. It's been quite very, very interesting. So I'm excited for you to hear from them as well. So I think at this point of time, I want to start with Hina. If you can switch on your camera, Hina. Basically, your career trajectory is very impressive. You've succeeded across diverse asset classes like treasury, money markets, foreign exchange, real estate financing, wealth management. You navigated some mid-career pivots. So can you share some insights or some advice for this audience here? If you haven't switched on your camera, you should.
I have. Can you hear me? I can
Yeah,
see
I can.
you. But
Fantastic. Now I can see you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hi, yeah.
Yeah, it's been fairly exciting. Actually, I started working, shortly after the economic liberalization in 1992, right? I started working in 95. So the economy was in an upswing. And over the last 30 years, you've seen the MSU scandal, then you've seen the internet bubble, the Enron crisis, the global financial crisis, the NBFC crisis, COVID, you just name it. So
You bet.
what happens is that you realize that macros and the overall environment is very, very important. But there's certain things that, really stand out that, as you're navigating through all these different macro environment challenges, if you're true to your own core value systems, your own principles, your beliefs, your conviction, and if you believe, and I do believe, uh, there are no shortcuts. So there are no quick fixes, right? Take care of governance issues, ethics, integrity, and which is something that women are really good at it, kind of maps well, resonates well with our DNA. You'll do well. It doesn't matter what the macro environment, what challenge it is throwing at you. Additionally, of course, I would say please develop your own professional networks. I found them very useful. When you enter into a new asset class, the world is different. Like real estate financing was so different from treasury. Wealth management was so different. Bond markets were so different. If you have professional networks, regardless of the challenge, it becomes a great place to brainstorm, to get mentored, to mentor in turn, and things happen. The universe supports you.
Right, to dive a little deeper into that, right? Do we totally understand what women, do we understand what networking is about? Because I totally get you when you just said that. I mean, I think things change for you when you actually start networking because it's all about relationship building and the trust that you're like kind of, the trust levels and everything that gets raised for you out there just by like talking to other people and, learning, sharing. I don't think I don't know if I'm generalizing, but do we totally get it? Do we get how networking helps us,
I totally agree. See, one is that uh, what is networking? You saying personal friends. I'm saying why not have professional friends?
It is, but yeah, both.
Yeah, professional friends who work in different organizations, work in diverse, they come from very diverse backgrounds. If you have conversations with them, you will find and be able to forge bonds where you're not feeling threatened, you're not feeling vulnerable, who will be able to help you guide through some tough times.
Correct. Yeah.
And they might actually give you new ideas because if you interact with all people who belong to the same background, you will never have new ideas. It will always be groupthink. It'll always be a herd mentality. So I'm not just talking about survival. I'm also talking about growth. So you could meet these people in meetings. You could meet these people in a lift. You could meet these people while you're having dinner. You could meet these people in a conference. You could meet them in an office meeting. They could be anywhere. Whoever you bond with, in any kind of interaction, please make an effort to, develop that as a relationship. And
Great.
you'll do very well in stakeholder management.
Absolutely. So, okay, now I just want to dive a little bit more into you itself. Now, you've traversed many business cycles in the last 3 decades, right? So, can you share some sound bites on the traditional and emerging asset classes and how we should approach these to generate upside?
Okay, so if you look at India, last 30 years since the economy, 35 years since the economy liberalized, has been very, very fascinating. So if you look at 1990s, and since most of us are from real estate, let's look at real estate, how it has mapped out in the last 30 years. Earlier, you just had hard assets, right? People were buying just residential real estate. There was hardly any commercial real estate in the 1990s. Then slowly, with the IT boom happening and the economy picking up in the late 1990s, early 2000s, you had commercial real estate also, which became an asset class. So here we were talking about hard assets becoming an asset class. Initially, the investors in all these hard assets and even the financiers, it was the private market. You had the private money lenders who were there, who were financing the requirements. As the economy grew, the assets became, these hard assets became more standardized, and financial instruments could be structured on top of these hard assets, right? So you had lending that started happening. Initially, let's say HDFC started doing it, then ICICI Housing Finance, and so many other institutions started giving home loans. Similarly, when FDI opened up in 2005, you had a lot of private equity guys which came into the market and started funding real estate projects.
Right.
So the sector evolved as more financial instruments happened. Similarly, all other sectors at that time also have been evolving similarly. So if you look at the traditional asset classes, let me just get back to it. What do you have? You have equity, which could be listed or unlisted equity. Just like you have real estate players, you have listed players and unlisted players. So similarly, other sectors are also very similar. Then you have debt. What is debt? Earlier, it was just Government of India which raised money, which is the sovereign debt. And then you had a few private sector borrowers in the 1990s, rather public sector, PSUs who borrowed in the market. Now you have a lot of private sector players who borrow money in different forms. So you could have it in the form of bonds, or you have a new asset class, which most of you would have heard of, which is now called private credit. So earlier it was lending, which was being done by banks and institutions. But due to certain regulations, they've had to do more traditional lending. So a new asset class called private credit has emerged, where sophisticated investors in larger ticket sizes can put in money. And new platforms like AIFs have come into play. Similarly, you have a lot of exotic asset classes within finance, which I'm sure all of you have heard about, which is like, you'll have Bitcoins, that is cryptocurrencies, you'll have art, you'll have wine, whiskey. So when people are flirting with these or virtual real estate, but then that's still yet to emerge as a proper asset class. So I think we're still flirting with it, but with all this technology and the digitization and the flow of information, I think the getting comfortable with it will take a few years, but it will be faster than what it used to be earlier, a period of 2 decades to get understand an instrument.
So we're not that sure as yet, because even when you say things like art is an asset class, and that excites me as a designer, because I know that it's a big deal outside, but here we're still trying to understand what that actually means, right?
Yeah, just to give you a perspective, and I hope I don't overshoot, so I'll just be very quick. Mutual funds in India, you would have all read right now, in SIPs, there's 20,000 crores, 25,000, which is going per month, right? When mutual funds were introduced in 1994, till 2005, people were not putting money only in mutual funds. They thought it is exotic. So it took 10 years for acceptance and another 15 years for it to flow to the masses. But once it started, it's 20,000 crores a month, 25,000 crores a month. That is because the speed of dissemination of information is very fast because of technology, which is something that you had also mentioned, which is again
Yeah.
happening across asset classes.
Yes. So talking about technology now, Hina, because this is beautiful, because from you, I'm just going to jump straight to Shivani, because she co-founded a prop tech company called Blox, and I was having a chat with her, and for me, like, what was really interesting is somebody in fashion, taking care of like Anita Dongre and their company jumping into something like this. Shivani, if you're there, I just want to like kind of jump a little bit more from you and ask you a little question on your journey, really transforming real estate sales and marketing. Are you there?
Hi, Fancy. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Excited to be on yet another panel with all you women. A lot of you are very inspiring to me in my journey as well. So, Fancy, to cut to the chase of like my journey, and I must mention, I believe I gave you a good laugh yesterday when I said that I came from retail, luxury, having handled
Why?
from fashion shows to flagship store launches to launching a fintech product online and nurturing it for 5 years to suddenly coming to real estate. It was a rather accidental journey for me to come here. But I found that personally for me, challenges have always been very exciting. And I think that there are some skills like marketing, going to market with a certain product that applies to all industries really. So when we started Blox, the idea was to take this rather physical and tedious journey, which is home buying, a long drawn, multi decision journey into making it simple, analytical for the buyer, and taking it to market as one all encompassing product. What I mean by that is the idea was to say that multiple different considerations that go on into buying a home, largely from the point of view of where it's located, what is the kind of return it's going to give in X amount of years, all the way down to how big you want your kitchen to be, various considerations. We wanted to make it very simple and complete product and project identification to be done online, but also being able to transact, visit, and discuss the same project or multiple different projects with one dedicated resource and to be able to take that product to market. So I think today we've been successful. Blox has sold, we've had about 11 million new visitors on the platform. We've been able to sell 2,000 properties as such in Mumbai city across various micro markets. We all know that Mumbai is not one market. Mumbai is 28 little markets put together, right? So every market acts differently, but we are able to crack the code. And today we're very excited to say that we are able to sell homes online. We've had cases where someone sitting in Hyderabad has booked inventory in Andheri East. Somebody sitting in Dubai has been able to do a virtual site visit and then consecutively go on to booking that property online. So I think that what we set out to do, we have finally been able to do after 2.5 years, and building about 6 products for different stakeholders in-house.
That's amazing, because yesterday after you were telling me, I did go onto your platform. I was like immersing myself in many of your the different offerings, right? But just tell me something with all of these. I mean, you say you're a little different from the other platforms that's there in the market itself. So I just wanted to know, do you see any potential challenges or opportunities associated with what you are offering?
Right. So Fancy, when we started out, we were not the first prop tech players in the country. We, in fact, were a second or third boom in prop tech industry, which initially started with aggregator platforms. So we've had historically many platforms that enlisted properties from brokers, third-party users. But what we realized is it's not really serving a customer. After property identification, they still had to go get connected with a broker in an ordinary online to offline process. And what we got to know in our research is that broker in turn will suggest other properties to you coinciding with your requirement. So it's a very fragmented process. When we go online to buy something,
Yeah.
something as simple as a bottle of water, what you're going to do is you're going to see the product, you're going to add that product to cart and receive that product. In real estate, that just didn't happen. So again,
Yeah.
from retail, it was very shocking to me that why don't we have one simple process without all the friction points that is going to enable the buyer to be able to book what he or she is seeing. So these prop tech platforms inevitably cut the home buying journey only at being able to portray what options are available. What we were able to do differently is we started our entire tech development with a sales first approach for the home buyer. So everything that we have built so far, we have only made from the mentality of selling 100% of the projects on our platform, which is about 20,000 odd inventory that we have listed on the platform, is entirely for sale, vetted with a 51-point checklist to ensure that the buyer is going to get what he or she sees. Once you know what it is you're going to visit, I will give you a relationship manager like a bank would. A bank would give you a relationship manager when you made some account with them. I'll give one to you just because you're on my platform, right? You're a startup. We want to get that enthusiasm rolling and change habits in India.
Yeah.
So that relationship manager in turn will give you multiple options fitting your requirement, take you online, make you book whatever you want to, which is something that India didn't see before. Because for this to make it operationally relevant and to make it operationally possible, we had to develop 4 other products in the back end. So we have our own ERP that we use. We do not use Salesforce or Lead Squared. We had to create an app for the developer. We also created an app for the broker because at the end of the day, we want the entire stakeholder system to work together. We're not here to replace anybody. We're here to make everyone work together. We have a relationship manager app which actually works like Swiggy. So if you were to go on my platform, Moko Visit, my relationship manager will get a notification and be like, hey, Fancy is going to come to Bandra to visit this project. He'll show you the project. If you don't like it, he'll show you 4 more until you know what it is they want to buy. And they're all one phone call away. So we've realized that psychologically what a customer needs is insight, data, information, and some kind of human assistance. So we've provided that. And now we are able to sell homes online, which 4 years ago seemed impossible.
Yeah, because I remember when this whole thing started about like talking to a person in a phone on the other end, there was no face. It's just extremely difficult trying to talk to a voice, and you don't know who's coming on. Sometimes it's automated, and it's just difficult. So all this makes a little difference. Now, speaking about user-centric platforms, I just want to pull Tithi in. Tithi happens to be the co-founder of a really wonderful immersive platform called Trezi. And I know a lot about it as a workplace architect because, I mean, when they came out with it almost, I think, 10 years back, it was something that was like really different and very exciting for end users. Tithi, I just want to ask you this question. So now, as a person who's come up with something like this, an immersive platform for a layperson, right? So, what are the primary challenges faced by designers during project execution, and how can your platform address that very effectively?
Thanks, Fancy, and lovely to be here. Thank you, Realty Plus, to invite us all and, for this panel. So, Fancy, as you know, and for the benefit of others, I qualified as an architect, and I did my education in architecture, and then worked with international design firms in senior leadership roles for almost 15 years prior to starting what I'm doing right now, which is the Trezi platform. During that journey of the professional practice that as a workplace architect, just like you, there were a lot of pain points that I personally experienced. So while we were doing some fantastic projects for the likes of Facebook, Google, and the top of the BFSI sort of customers, all the major global Fortune 500 companies, there would always be that whole gap between what we are trying to communicate in terms of our design ideas to the customer who's a non-architect or a non-designer. And the technology that existed, of course, I'm talking about 2001 to 2015, literally, before, I really went on to becoming an entrepreneur and starting this whole journey. We used to have 2D sort of layouts and just some static 3Ds and, 8 or 9 3D stills. And we had to communicate our entire design language for 100,000 square feet and 8 to 9 3D stills. And even the walkthroughs that existed were very, very sort of curated, because you had to put the camera angles in a certain manner. And if the customer said, hey, guys, stop, I want to go left instead of right, the technology didn't allow it. So, this used to be a real problem. People would imagine looking at those nice material boards, small little swatches of marble. They would imagine that, okay, they would have a completely white floor, and then when they would walk into a constructed space, they would look at that grain and say, hey, this is not what I had expected, or and this translates to everything. So our whole industry, which is a very large industry, by the way, I'm sure since this panel has so many people from the real estate side of things, it's a $13 trillion industry globally. And there is so much wastage that we generate, because it's been a very physical sort of a, touch and feel product selection kind of an industry.
And the fact that just wanted to touch upon what you were saying in terms of the wastage. Just because they really didn't know what was going to come out of the design, and when they see it and they didn't like it, like, I don't like it. Can you just break that down?
Yeah,
that used to be a lot of that also, right?
So how much change used to happen, a lot of money, resource, effort going into making that change happen, just because the customer didn't like it when they walked into the finally constructed space. So this became a real thing, and I was sort of deliberating, and while everything was great, there was really no reason for me to change, because I was on the top of my game in my last stint, where I was the managing director for India for a very large Singapore headquartered design firm. I wanted to actually explore something on the immersive technology side, because around 2014, 2015, Facebook and now Meta had just acquired Oculus for $2 billion. And, there was a lot of conversation around the world about virtual reality, augmented reality. So I said that, why should VR and AR just be for gamers? Let somebody from the domain, and especially real estate, design, architecture, all of these are, domains where the whole visualization and experience side of things really comes into play. And hence I decided to sort of leave my cushy sort of a role, and then, go on to the journey of being an entrepreneur. And since then, literally for the last 8 years, I've been completely and totally sort of, immersed in this journey. So today, Trezi is India's first immersive platform for the building industry, and the world's first immersive platform for marketing building products. What we have is, of course, we have different sort of offerings for user personas, like the architects, interior designers, and the design teams of real estate developers. And then we have something for the building product manufacturers and suppliers who create digital twins. They digitize the entire physical SKU-based industry using our technology, and then those digital twins are uploaded onto the cloud and then downloaded by the architects who are on our platform to give the customers a real sort of a feel in real scale and proportion. So, when you're walking inside your design, which is not yet physically constructed, and you're walking inside a virtual space, be it a shop or a home or an office or an airport, you can actually experience it in that X, Y, and Z axis, which even though we call them 3Ds, but when they are actually put on a screen, for me, it's a 2D. I mean, you call it a 3D, but you don't get a sense of what is the Z axis, how much space do you have. So with immersive technologies, we were able to actually transcend that gap. And now all our customers say, that we are able to do things 30% faster. So in my mind, if as an entrepreneur, as a startup founder in the field of immersive technologies and real estate, if I can save 1/4 of the year for my customers, they can go and get more business, they can become more efficient, they can get more revenues, and the whole process of that physical selection becomes lesser. So I'm actually contributing also on the sustainability side. I'm making this world a better place for all our future generations. So it's a very exciting sort of a journey. It's had its fair share of highs and lows. It's not easy being in a field which like what Hina ma'am was saying, and even for that matter what Shivani was talking about, is something which is traditionally been happening in a certain way. To try and change that, and it needs a lot of patience and perseverance, and you have to stick to what your vision is and continue the journey. So challenges have been many. I think the main challenge has been the change management. So everyone who we go to for our platform will say, hey, I'm able to sell, I'm able to visualize, my customer is able to visualize, I don't think I need to bring any more technology. So these are things that we have
I want to
to
come in the middle there, because when I actually put the goggle on and actually jumped into my design, my God, it's because we created it. Like, you're literally sitting inside and you're like walking. You are the person walking in your space. So I don't know how many of the designers that you're working with, I mean, or the end users, for instance, the first time they're using it, that excitement, there must be something you can talk about there. It's just a different immersive experience altogether, right?
Absolutely. And you are able to, I think, Hina,
Hina, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
you are on mute.
You're on mute.
Yeah, as she was talking, it sounded very interesting. So I went on to the Trezi website.
Yeah.
And it's very nice. It seems you've created content for learning also. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yes. For the
That's fascinating.
yeah, so basically, when you're dealing with emerging technologies, that's what it falls under. Though it's immersive technologies and emerging technologies are all sort of collapsed here. You have to seed the user of the future. I find it easier to talk to the youngsters about using technology than the very set kind of businesses where, everything is sort of, oh, hey, we have a process, we don't want to change it. So that's why what you're seeing as the academy program that we run is basically in the schools of architecture and interior design, that we provide the Trezi software for like a really, really less cost. I mean, we do keep a cost because I think anything that's offered free is meaningless and worthless. People don't have any value for it.
Respected enough.
Yeah, so that's why we have an academy program, and we have colleges like Pearl Academy and Chitkara University and Amity, and all these people actually use Trezi. Even otherwise, for our Trezi Lens Pro and Trezi Showcase, we have very interesting set of customers. We have enterprise customers, GMR airports, and I mean GMR who constructs airports, Delhi Metro Rail, Chennai Metro Rail. There's a lot of enterprise customers that we have, and we just also started our international expansion. So I'm very hopeful that despite all the the challenges in the times to come, this is going to be the way people work. It will not be that, hey, I'm used to when the new generation starts to come in, they will certainly use more and more of immersive technologies than the generation that is currently deciding on things.
Go away with those physical mock-ups and just get into one of these, right?
Absolutely.
Honestly, it would make a huge difference. Now, speaking of other people who can use all of your technologies, right? I want to pull Shruti in. She's the Assistant Vice President at Tata Realty and Infrastructure.
Yes, we're talking to them, Shruti, so we should connect offline after this.
I was just going to do that, later. I would have done that, exactly just that.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
So,
Fancy, please.
yeah, so Shruti, we also have this conversation, and you really have done so much that I didn't have enough time to go through half of what you've done. So I'm just going to like throw that back at you, because there's like so much you have like kind of brought, in terms of difference to Tata Realty. So what markets are you seeing growth in commercial real estate, and what factors are contributing to this growth? Would you like to start with that question, or yeah, over to you.
Of course, I can start with that question. And I would rather put the India office market perspective first before I tell you which cities are some of the uh, driving factors for absorption. We all know India is a very buoyant and very resilient market. And even till today, what's happening across the world to where we are still, we're the only ones who are actually seeing progress. So we are extremely resilient. Now, the largest, India is the biggest outsourcing market, and it's still date the largest outsourcing market. Currently, the amount of office space that we have and I will throw in some data, and there's a reason why I'm throwing in some data just to put a little perspective of how vast this is.
Yeah.
And I remember Fancy and I were talking that data, whatever, but I just thought, let me put the whole perspective and then tell you which are the growing cities. So the India office market is about 880 million to about 900 million, less than a billion. So that's the office size market. And last year, when we were talking about how 2019, we had the best year, everybody in office was looking forward to the 2020, and then it went down. 2023 proved that wrong. We had again remarkable absorptions across the country in office market. We had, I think, about close to 61 million square feet getting absorbed across the 8 major cities. With, I think, and every year we add about 45 to about 40 to 45 million square feet thereon. So that's how vast the India market is in terms of office. That's the size. Now, coming to what are the cities, the 8 major cities that are performing, Bangalore by far is leading the way for the past 15 odd years. They've last year, I think in 2020, again, the absorption that happened was about 15 million square feet. So by far, Bangalore has been leading the way in terms of office market. Followed by Chennai. I think Chennai was surprisingly had an upswing last year. So Chennai has catapulted to this entire market. So it's Bangalore, Chennai, and off late we've also been seeing Pune, taking up stride. I think earlier there must have been, to some extent, they were low in supply, but I think that's picking up. So Bangalore, Chennai, and Pune. And now to answer the second part of your question, the biggest driver for office market has been IT. And that's been happening for years. However, in the past couple of years, global capability centers have kind of taken stride. And they are actually competing with the IT sector in terms of creating that whole market for office. Also, with the existing GCs looking at expansion, we've also got newer ones coming in. So while these are the sectors that have kind of really augmented the whole office market growth, there are other aspects of infrastructural and urbanization factors that have happened in India. The growth we've seen over the past years has been remarkable. There has been this whole ecosystem of the new startups that are there. There is retail and e-commerce boom that's been happening. I think the government policies have become quite favorable. And nonetheless, you will agree that the investors are kind of getting attractive yields. So I think if you were to sum up all of it, it's been a great story for real estate as such. So yeah.
It looks like Hina wants to say something here, but
yes, I thought it was quite attractive for the investors, apart from just art and
yeah. So yeah, it's been an exciting few years. Last 3-4 years have been great for real estate because you had instruments like REITs which got announced.
Yep.
So you had instruments instead of just having hard assets. So which meant new investors came into the market with new types of instruments. So the retail investor could also participate.
Retail investors.
Yeah. So
and with regards to REIT, In fact, about 80%, there are many REITs to be listed. About 80% of the real estate is not even literally using the word REITified. So
Right.
yeah, there's so much more potential in this industry at the moment.
Yeah, but
So I'm gonna ask-
currently, if you look at real estate, so again, I mean, Shruti can tell us more, but so many new sub-asset classes have come into play in the last couple of years. You have warehousing, you have data centers, and logistics, instruments like REITs, then larger players like Blackstone.
We've got fractional, fractional ownership is also coming into play,
Absolutely.
and that's getting a lot of weightage now. So yes.
Yeah. So there's lots happening. I think we are in real estate. We are seeing in India what the US was in the 1970s. So on one side you had capabilities, on the other side, in terms of execution, new technology and everything. And on the other side, you had burgeoning demand with an economy that was on an upswing, and together combined with financial instruments like REITs, which started happening, and more financial innovations to embed in these hard assets to make financing easier. That's what's happening in Indian real estate today.
Very interesting. But I want to just go and dig back with Shruti again, because as Tata Realty, right, Shruti, what are you doing differently from the rest of the developers in terms of the innovative strategies that you guys are adopting?
So what we've done, and
what's
I think
your differential to tap
like
into major cities? Yeah, sorry.
So I think just like us, over the past couple of years, all grade A developers, and I will definitely specify what we are doing differently, but I think post-COVID, strategies have changed and they're getting more aligned towards, let's say, to healthier spaces. And how you're changing the experience of your office parks. The global occupiers today are actually looking at, when they look at a developer, they are looking at a couple of things. For example, if their employees are coming to a particular campus, is it healthy? Is it safe? Are you giving them an experience to come to an office park? You have to get them after COVID, when the work from home started. What is that motivating factor that you're creating within your ecosystem of office parks that will drive them to come? That's one ideology global occupiers are looking at. I think also giving them, and these are our brand pillars that Tata Realty really focuses on, is providing a smart, safe, secure, and social environment to global occupiers. So one is health and safety, of course. The other thing is sustainability. And we all know that sustainability today, it's no more a boardroom conversation. It is actually action on ground across real estate. So they'll occupiers actually look at what kind of commitments what are your ESG goals? What kind of commitments have you made? Are they aligning with theirs? And on the other hand, I think sometimes our conversation regarding sustainability gets a little skewed towards just focusing on, let's say, an environment, the kind of energy reduction that you're doing, what is the waste management. So what the subject is vast. There's also, what are the governance that you follow? How are you managing that part of your business? How do you manage your partners? How aligned are you with this? What is your code of conduct or transparency measures within that ecosystem? So I think health and safety, sustainability, and I think
because of the fact that it's just not about just renewable energy. There's a lot more to it. There's what are the materials that are going into building your building. There's not enough, I think, information out there on that. So are we leaving it? Maybe we should be digging. This is like a huge, vast topic, like you said, and we need to have another panel on this. So I think on the subject of sustainability, I want to pull in Niharika from Knight Frank. I mean, she's driving, she's the president of operations at Knight Frank, and sustainability is a very critical concern, and she drives it from Knight Frank. So from your end, Niharika, how is this being incorporated in the operations and maintenance of developments? Because this should answer, I think, some of what we're talking about right now as well, Shruti.
Yeah, hi, Fancy, and glad that, I am listening all the panelists from the first panel till the end. Yeah. In fact, I'm in this space, facility management, for the last 22 years plus. And, facility management has really, gone a long, long way. And then we are evolving. We will continue evolving. Sustainability, ESG is an integral part, goes without saying. So let me tell you, the kind of size of market we are. Facility management market today in India is about 148 billion USD. It means, it's between the organized and unorganized sector. So what we see, and we take an accountability that we have huge opportunity, because, as a facility management and facility manager, we have resources with us. We have all the crucial operational things with us. So what we can contribute, and we have to partner, within all kind of real estate segments, because we are into a very, very diverse sector. Like energy itself is a 30% in terms of kind of expense on an average, from the expense point of view. And we have to be very, very cost efficient when it comes to the maintenance. Today, the infrastructure, whatever is being built, what is going to be, in future, it will be maintained, and the maintenance is taking the front seat. We all have seen during the pandemic, and continuously, the way India is an under construction country, and we have to make sure that all kind of requirements when it comes to the people, skilling people, trainings, and then the planet saving, and of course the profit for the developer and profit for the operator, both. That can only come when we are talking about the efficiency, and that efficiency can only come when we are very, very focused, and we have all ESG, this governance, environmental things with us, social responsibility. We definitely take pride that within the organization we are very focused, and we have dedicated vertical. We are driving for our own self, so we will be net zero by 2030. This is our internal targets. This is very, very comprehensive when we talk about the sustainability, starting from the poverty. So there are basically three bottom lines when we talk about the sustainability, and the sustainability basically development goals are from the lens of ESG, talks about 17 parameters. That is very comprehensive, including the poverty. Nobody should have hunger, that kind of parameters, and the equality we are talking about, D&I. So that is very comprehensive outlook and framework where sustainability is taking next step with the integration of technology. See, we are sitting on the big database, and this database analytics is something, this is high time we must capitalize and utilize in terms of our further course of action. So we are doing a lot in this area with our partners, because as you rightly mentioned in the conversation, we have to have supply chain management. We have to have 100% partnership with our all stakeholders, and that's how we can take it to the next level. In fact, sustainability is no more a fancy word in terms of applicability. If you see, SEBI has already mandated that sustainability reporting has to be done by the corporate, and it is going to take more stringent kind of a regulatory for sustainability, and we are gearing up from our side.
No, that's good to hear, because just yesterday we were having a conversation in our RICS platform, in fact, on the fact that we've got to focus a little bit more on the circularity of the way we are approaching our projects, because have we fully understood what that means? Because we all want to do good for the people, the planet, the place, but are we looking top down? Are we looking mid-level? Are we going all the way down? Are we looking at where the materials are getting dumped? I mean, there's so much more to this. It's not just about renewables. It's also about what goes into construction. It's also about what went into the material that went into construction. So there's a lot more that has to be, I think, a bigger focus. And at the platform yesterday, we're again just still starting, but I think we need to push this a bit more. And do you see that happening with people or the end user clients that you're talking to? Because it's not because at one time it was just all about just renewables, but are we talking a little bit more about the harder aspects of building the building sustainably?
Yeah. Yes, it is happening. So it's a journey, and we have to believe that it is going to the next. We are late for that matter. We are slow. We are late, but it is happening. And as I said, going forward, there are going to be regulatory bodies. So sometime, either it's a choice or the compliance, either of thing, you have to follow. But let me tell you, this sustainability is going to be more investor driven. None of the kind of infrastructure, if we are not focused on sustainability, it's going to be difficult from the investor point of view. So most of the things you see from this investor driven. So that itself is an answer that whether it is happening or not. So
I think we should outline what that means also, because most people seem to think it's just only about renewable energy, but it's more than that. So
much more than that. Much more than that. It's a complete well-being in terms of your water, air, waste, your diversity, inclusion. It's much more than that. So it's every point you have to touch upon.
All right. I'm not sure how much time we have, but I want to kind of go, because there's so much each of you are just contributing right now on this panel. Each of you are making so many significant strides in your fields, and all of you are just really amazing women. So I want to ask you, and I think I'll kind of go quickly. So if you could just keep your answers brief, because we don't have much time. What has been the most rewarding part of your career so far? And have you faced any challenges, particularly as women in a traditionally male-dominated industry? I'm sure you hear this a lot, but if you can keep it brief, and nothing like it. So we'll start with you, Hina, and go in the same order.
Well, I don't think there is any such thing as traditionally male-dominated only one industry.
Okay.
Across industries, they are male-dominated. Okay, so whether you're talking about construction, whether you're talking about real estate, whether you're talking about finance, whether you're talking about private equity, automotive, everywhere it is male-dominated. And I think more or less there's a common thread between all of us, because we would have faced the same challenges, the same gender biases. So it doesn't matter whether we are women entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter whether we are a second generation or a third generation of women entrepreneur, where we came from some patriarchal societies, or we are self-made women. It's just about how we tackle those challenges. I think we just need to get up there and just accept it and just take the bull by the horns. And on the other side, I think it's beneficial for organizations to ensure that they have more women in the C-suite, because diversity is good for them. Like, you're talking about ESG and sustainability and all. So, a balanced board, a balanced management is always good. And for instance, organizations like ours, what we're doing is that for 5 to 15 years of work ex women, we have special leadership program, stuff like that. Because like I said, there's a common thread, and we just need to get up there. And of course, all industries, specific associations also need to do their bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like something that we just need to just continue to just go onwards and upwards and move forwards and just keep doing what you have to do. Right?
Yeah, and stop, we just have to stop cribbing about it, because it exists.
Absolutely.
It's there across the countries. What can you do about it?
Absolutely. Pulling Shivani in right now.
So personally, in my 13, 14-year long career, usually in my experience, I wasn't surrounded by a male-dominated culture, much like now I am in real estate. It's not just male-dominated, but the average age also, as someone who's turned 30 just a year or two ago, feel that the average age is also, generally with men in this industry a little higher. Personally, I didn't face any challenges, or I didn't have to explain myself about age or gender, but that's only my personal experience. I have encountered some individuals, and I don't think that couple of people's comments is any reflection on the larger society or group of men in general, to be fair. So, who have that old toxic mentality that women will work for a certain period of time or till a certain age. But those you just like brush off your shoulder, you move on. And personally, as a leader in my organization, I've ensured that we all remain gender agnostic and create a meritocratic culture. At the end of the day, the person best for the role should be encouraged to do the role well. So that's the culture that we've put in. Also, I know that I am fortunate given that I entered this industry late. So I didn't have to face challenges. But that tailwind is also very strong now because now we are finally in the workforce with the Gen Z. Gen Z, who were born in 97 to 2012, are also now in the workforce, preferring, everything that we are hearing on this panel about like immersive and collaborative tech that is virtually possible. So I think that there'll always be some elements that you're able to brush off, move on. And if you're able to set a right example that if I am gender agnostic in my organization, the next person is going to be, and that is the culture that's going to seep through. And yeah.
No, very well put, yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not right now. I don't think it's about two genders anymore. We're talking about 7, 8 different genders, binary, non-binary. So, like a lot of it used to go over my head. And thankfully, I have a Gen Z at home. I have a 21-year-old who's constantly educating me. So that's where my
Fancy
education
looking
is.
at you. But also, you might be the first person in this industry to say that there are more than two genders. So,
There's
congratulations.
many. We need to talk about it.
Right?
Yes. Okay. So that, from you pulling in Tithi, because Tithi, you are actually driving this to. I mean, this is like part of your profile. I can't see you. I hope you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. So you drive DEI to some extent, and you have been like a huge voice in our industry. And how do you see this?
So I think your question, the initial question was that, what has
The
been
challenge. Yeah.
personally, how has it been personally rewarding? So I think for me, Fancy, I think I really feel blessed that, I have the opportunity to, like you said, to say something and to be a voice in the industry and that people listen, maybe just because of the amount of years I put into the whole thing. And plus the shift that I have made from working as a professional, as a creative professional to a technology startup founder, it's been very, very rewarding personally. Like I said earlier, also, it's been, it's not all been sort of easy. There have been a lot of highs and lows, more lows than highs, honestly. But it's still been a very rewarding journey for me. I think I've surrounded myself, I made a very conscious decision to surround myself with, like what Shivani was saying, people, irrespective of their gender, who are capable and who I can trust and who are the right people to do the job. In my 22 years of my professional career up till now, I don't think I have ever felt like, somebody discriminated against me because of me being a woman. In fact, I think it's rather been the opposite. I have got attention and, people have listened to me, maybe because I was saying the right thing. And, it was just that, not that I'm a woman. For me, I've not experienced that discrimination, but I have heard stories from others who have come to my company, and I also take a lot of pride in, creating an organization with at least 50-50 male-female gender ratio. And of course, we welcome all other genders. Like we were discussing, we must talk about, inclusivity of all kinds. But I have heard stories that, I couldn't move up the career ladder because I had to take a maternity break. And I also had 2 children. And, in my first, when my daughter was born, I was back into a taxi and getting into a meeting on the 3rd day of my delivery. I have done some crazy stuff, but, I'm just saying that in the second one, I took my 6 months break, but thankfully I was working in an organization that actually supported me. Others who have joined my organization have had horror stories that, I was laid off because of, the maternity break, etc. So it is a reality. We can't really say that it doesn't exist. It's just not happened to me personally, but I have a lot of empathy for women who have faced this. And we have to collectively, all of us, and all of us who are on the panel, but even otherwise, the whole women workforce, we have to continue our journey to be treated equally. That is what I would say.
There is this, a very famous sort of, it's a saying of some sort where, like, you shouldn't just be invited to a party. You should also be invited to dance at a party, right? So not just be there and be there, but you got to really participate, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what we should all be actually aiming for at the end of the day. So coming to Shruti, can't see you, but Shruti, the same question
Yes,
to
fancy.
you.
So,
Okay, there you are.
yeah, so I think, I'm there. I think my journey has been of hard work and smart work and falling through and then so many times falling apart. But
You
just
have
the
great
very fact I
energy.
really enjoyed. Sorry?
Yeah. You have great energy, I say.
Just
All
the,
of you.
yeah, I think post 40 you tend to have more energy, looks like. The aspect that I want to talk about, I've been really enjoying the kind of work that I do. I've been able to tell some unconventional stories of the brands across that I worked with. So personally, in terms of my career trajectory or the journey has been fantastic. And coming to the second question, and I want to, of course, I'm going to give you a little example of the whole male dominated. Personally, I would also agree with Tithi and Shivani. I have not had the bias at all. I am grateful maybe for the organizations that I've joined throughout. I've been given opportunities. In fact, sometimes I felt, have I been given an opportunity because I'm a female or what? I don't know. But I have never faced bias. And so I've been extremely grateful for that. However, like, Shivani and Tithi, you all both mentioned, you heard stories. And of course, I've also heard stories. So when I said that being in this organization and as a marketer, I love creating unconventional narratives which can resonate with all of us. And this year for Women's Day, what we did was at International Women's Day, we did a campaign where we relooked at the game of chess. Chess has 2 queens, and it's such a male-centric, the whole chess pieces are mostly male. What we did was to reiterate, and the campaign was called deserved, not reserved. So when you spoke about, the person should, it's just because you have a seat, it does not mean just give it to any woman just because you've reserved it. It should ideally be deserving. And so we played with this entire campaign where we had these life-size chess boards spread across all our assets with half the chess pieces painted in pink, okay, the cliche pink. And we invited people to engage with us and, play, take a chance and engage. The idea was, again, just to reiterate, irrespective of the gender, whether it's a game of chess or whether it's the real life scenario, irrespective of the gender, one can still achieve the goal that's needed. And I think that campaign, resonated so beautifully across all our people at our campuses that how could you even imagine you've rethought on chess? So yeah, to to,
That's an interesting
the
example.
both
Yeah,
of you that yes, it should actually be deserved more so.
absolutely right. So, actually, I'm not too sure how much more time we have on this, but I do have one more question for all of you, if we have the time and we can make it a little brief. Basically, I think the last part of it is to do with the vision for this industry, right? So, as individuals in your separate different fields, what are you personally excited about for the next few years? And do you have any big goals or dreams that you'd like to share with this audience? Hina?
Um, I've been reading Nandan Nilekani's Imagining India.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so if you read that, I mean, regardless of the sector, whether it's real estate or any other sector, as India grows, there are lots of things that are happening in every aspect, whether it's the economy and everything else. I think it would be nice to just sit and imagine what India could be in 5 years or 10 years and see how we fit into it.
Fantastic.
I,
Okay.
yeah.
Shruti?
I think,
Until
like I mentioned, the time that we have today, and I think we're very fortunate to be able to see the exponential growth that's been happening, and for us to be able to enjoy that. I think that's something I am extremely excited about because India is almost like the next superpower, and I am fortunate to be a part of this entire change that we're going to see, and be involved and experience it. So yeah.
Shivani?
So Fancy, you can't ask a tech founder to summarize what is going to happen in the future. I'll try my best.
Right. Yeah.
I think the way to go for the industry to come together and be able to truly organize itself and come and digitize itself, I think blockchain registration is one way to go in the future. Abroad you have MLS already, which doesn't exist in India, but we've started a start with RERA and having some kind of record keeping of sorts. The second is use cases of AI that enable buyers to buy better, sellers to sell better. For example, we have this platform for the developer that enables them to look at a data bank to identify what customers fit their requirement and vice versa, how we have an inventory for our customers to select from projects. So I think down the line, 5 years later, I imagine a future where you're able to talk to your platform and say, hey, I want to relocate to Mumbai in this location, looking for an apartment of 2 BHK for a family of 4 with 2 kids. Can you suggest me some options? And that AI, we're building one as well ourselves called Breva, should be able to tell you, this is where you should go. If you have kids, this project has a park, this project has schools nearby. So this is the perfect place for you to be. Whether or not you're from Bombay, you should not have the decision paralysis that you would if you just went on a platform without any intelligence.
Fantastic. I would love to, kind of browse something like that. It's just, I wish it was there 10 years back. So our life would have been so much more
I would love
easier.
to show you around when you're in Mumbai.
No, I'm there. Coming to Shivani.
Yeah.
Sorry, what did I say? Not Shivani, sorry, Niharika. I'm sorry, Shivani.
No problem. In fact, my vision is that, if we can be completely digitalized, our service level, and if we can have Internet of Things, on various platforms, because we have huge utilities in when it comes to the building management and so many activities. And if we can have one, platform where we can consolidate upskill, our team, and at the same time, we optimize on the cost front. So that's how I look at.
Nice. And to round it off, Tithi.
So for me, I dream of the industry being less wasteful and more digitized. I really believe that it is going to happen. We are all going to actually take those small steps that we're taking right now. That's going to actually in the next 5 years. A lot of the wastages and the whole wasteful processes that we have in our industry, or the AEC industry or the building industry, will go away with all this digitalization that I think everyone is talking about. But in my personal case, the digital twins, the whole physical selection of samples, the entire flying from one city to the other just to co-locate, to have meetings, all of this is now possible, in metaverses that we are creating, Trezi is creating. We are creating digital twin cities. We are creating digital twins for, building products. So all of this will become the norm, and we will have, that our industry will be, as good as any other industry which has digitized itself much faster.
No, and thank you for that, because honestly speaking, I mean, I've been in this industry myself for 30 years, and I can tell you, like, from what it was 30 years back to now, we're talking, we're collaborating, and we're collaborating not only within our industry, we're talking to each other, we're talking to everybody, and then there's such a huge difference in the way we're approaching our work. So, I mean, you're rightly saying we need to talk in a manner that is just not too angry, but very calmly, just go about just doing your work and just get it done. And somewhere it's going to start working, So thank you for that. So it's been a it's been my pleasure, honestly, to reach out to you. And I most enjoyed reaching out to you one-on-one and having a conversation with each of you. I mean, it's just really been even like a mind-blowing learning experience for me myself. Like, I'm a workplace architect, and Hina was saying, don't call it, it's not fintech, it's like real estate, management, and real estate financing. And I'll be, yeah, tell me the right terminology to say. But this is the way we kind of learn from each other and we grow. So, I mean, thank you. You've all been like really excellent. And any final thoughts, or do you want to just kind of sum it up in one word?
I think it was definitely fantastic. It was indeed a fantastic session. And I think, as you rightly said, each of our speaker comes from a completely different background, different vertical of the industry. And, you kind of put them all together very well. And listening to all our speakers, the future seems really bright, as everyone has said, that the real estate future and the country's future is pretty bright. The way we are going, the development is happening. And it was pretty nice to hear what their final thoughts about the future are. And we just need to, as Hina rightly said, we need to figure out our own place in that future, how we go about it. And also touching upon their, if each speaker also touched upon, as this conclave is all about women icons and women leaders, and you all touched upon your experiences, as a women leader, as women professionals. And in the last session also, like I said, if men are the part of the problem, they're also part of the solution. And I think we just need to, probably think how we can make them an ally in, in make them also gender diversity advocates. And we all need to work together, as you rightly said, Fancy. It's all about collaboration and doing it in a nice, softer way, not aggressively. So great listening to you all. It was a fantastic session. Thank you, Fancy. Thank you, Niharika, Shruti, Hina, Tithi, and Shivani joining us for this final session of the day and for such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sapna.
Thank you, Fancy.
Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. And that was indeed a very insightful session. And I'm sure our audience had some valuable takeaways from the informative and inspiring discussions of the entire day. And with that, we come to the end of this fantastic conclave. Thank you to all our speakers for making this edition of Realty Plus Woman Icon Conclave so enriching, interesting, and not to mention very inspiring. And thanks to the awesome audience as well for being here with us today and sharing their queries too. Let me once again, before closing, remind you all, the 4th Realty Plus Woman Icon Awards 2024 will be held on June 13th, Thursday from 3 p.m. onwards. So do mark your calendars and we will see you soon. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Thanks, Sapna. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Some people are born to show the world which path to choose in a crisis. Some brands are born to do the same. And during the times of challenge, the stalwarts of the Indian real estate industry have chosen to do just that. by showing others the way to finding opportunities even amidst a crisis, by showing the world how to go about delivering on promises even amidst adversity. Success doesn't just happen, it happens by design, by pushing the boundaries, by raising the path.
It takes days to develop a vision and nights to make it a reality.
Knowing that pictures are worth 1,000 words and that every word makes a difference. It's doing the research, trusting your instinct, and finishing what you started. For the past 19 years, Realty Plus has been turning obstacles into opportunities, keeping the industry informed on the latest developments, innovating to inspire debates and discussions, bringing forth the perspectives of the industry leaders, honoring hard work and achievements, keeping the industry connected. This is what we are built on. This is what we are building. We are Realty Plus, and we lead the way.